Alright, guys, welcome to part 5 of the course. So, previously we talked about a couple of things, right? So, the last video I made was from the 30th of October, and today happens to be the 1st of November. So, happy new month, although when you'll be watching this is probably way past that time. So from the 30th, we looked at a couple of pairs. We looked at Euro USD, for example, and at the time, Euro USD, we're going to be going there, and what I had in mind. So from the 30th, I think it was somewhere around here. Yes, precisely. So price was very much. Sorry. What's happening? So this is my approach for BTC. Let's not talk about that now. Let's go to yeah. So from the 30th, I was looking at Euro USD from this area. Now, what I was particularly looking out for was I told you guys that we had there was a POI here on the daily time frame. Okay, so when we shrink this, we have an external level, right? So this is our swing low on the external structural low. Okay, so I think I just had a new TV, so making use of it, that's why I might be looking a little bit different. So on Euro USD, we had on the 30th, we had this daily level that price was reacting from. That is one. Now that day, I think price had not created that low there. So we had a daily level one, then we could see another structural level here. So you have to train your eyes, right? So this acted as an obstacle for price to react, right? Which gave us this move to the upside. Now, usually this is supposed to come if this level is going to be respected, it was supposed to come with volume, right? To invalidate that high. And then when we do that, we now wait for price to take, let's say, this high, and then from there we can now have targets towards to taking that external high right there. So we didn't see that coming, or we didn't see that happening. So now what do we know? That after price took the external high there, what now happened? We had a pullback, okay, and price was pulling back using the daily time frame, that's using its own time frame and giving us those internal structural levels. So we started having the internal structural level from there, and then here, and then now price is supposed to clear there, or price was supposed to clear there. So we have the POI where we needed price to head into, right? And then price got there, and then we started seeing this reaction. So automatically, I knew that okay, this guy we are bearish, okay, on the internal structural level, but then on the new structural leg that was created, we had an obstacle here, which could either be like a catalyst for price, just giving us a little bit of pullback and then volume, or it will create that volume that will head to taking that high. So those were the two options, right? So what then do I do now? I'm setting about direction, internal structure wise and stuff, and I know that that's an obstacle. So I dropped to the 4 hours time frame because that is the time frame that I do my major directions from. Okay, that is time frame that I want to see pullbacks before I get that entry. Okay, so I told you guys on how I took a loss a day before from here where I was trying to sell and wanted holding that guy, for a long period of time. Now, let me just say something briefly before we you know continue. Now what gave me, right, the conviction, I would say, to want to take this whole setup to clearing this low was, aside from this guy that is here, or this POI that we're reacting from, right, another thing was this was a pullback, and then we have seen price start forming this V shape already. So this guy was definitely an area that price was going to be taking. Okay, so in as much as we had, sorry, let's go back. So in as much as we had this region where price is going to be reacting, or where price reacted from, right, this is a new leg that is forming, and then I know where my major points are. I know that my major point is here. So this now is now agreeing with what direction. Okay, so automatically that was something for me to build that confidence in taking price lower. So we had the break here, and then we had the pullback. Okay, so this was when I was making the analysis for that day, and then I said that what I just want to see now is I've seen my pullback, I've seen price come into 50% or crossed 50% region. Okay, then I've seen price coming to retest. Okay, so coming to retest where price came to retest here one. Remember, I said I want to see price retest the body. Now, when I was talking about the body, I'm talked about flip zones. I'm talking about majorly this candle here. Okay, so I want to see price coming to retest here with body now. Then I can now see an order block. So my criterias now for a setup has been met. All right, so what I want to ask myself is how did price pull back into my POI? So this was what I was now looking out for. Okay, so now that I have that, I dropped to the 1 hour time frame. How is price pulling back? Obviously now I can see that price pulling back on the 1 hour. Now I do not need any other confirmation to get like into a trade, or I do not need to go to a lower time frame, to any more lower time frame, to say that okay, I want to go and be looking for a setup and all of those things. I have seen already what I want to see. So if I'm going down to like the 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes to look for those time frame structural points, I'm doing myself no good. Do you get? So I do not want to be doing that. I just want to stay here, right? Focus and try to get into a position from here. So basically that was what I was trying to do, right? So then we had this break. Okay, although I was looking for a break with body because that is what I always look for. Okay, sincerely. So I was looking for a break of structure with body, and right, I was just basically waiting that day to see that break. So when I finally got that break of structure with body, I did not see any pullbacks anymore. So instead, what price just used was it used the week, okay, a week break, then a pullback, okay, into this imbalance area, and then that was where we had the sales from. So one of the things that you'd have been able to do was get into a sell position from there if at all. Okay, then this would have been a 1 to 3, but then we are targeting this region, so it's going to be a 1 to 6, and then we got that volume from there. And yeah, so that was basically that. Okay, so I personally I didn't get any trade from there because I didn't see the pullback. So I was anticipating a pullback right into this level. Okay, and then that was where I wanted trading from. So I just got volume there. Now, one of the things that I am still observing, right, it's not so certain is I obviously want to be seeing a break of structure with body there when I want to get into trades. So I'm trying to be very, very careful. Now, one of the adjustments that I've made is still trading, you know, still getting into trades whether my stop loss is on the Asian high or the Asian low, right? I don't want to care so much about that because um I went back to study and then I saw that okay, I need to go back to trading that since I have already made some adjustments. So this is me just still fine tuning whatever it is that I do. It works, right? But I'm just trying to make things a lot more better. Okay, so I've made a couple of mistakes. I'm not going to lie, made a lot of mistakes, right? So this is me just telling you guys that okay, from now I'm going to be taking trades whether or not it's on the Asian high or low, because it cost me one position, okay, and right after this we didn't get any more trades. So um yes, here I was anticipating price to okay, let's just go backwards a bit. So there was a very tiny structure here, right, that I was looking at. So it was a break, then this candle closed with a wick. So I was just looking out for you know taking price lower due to how we were pulling back. Okay. And the pullback was coming from more of the 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So nicely there. Then we had that shift. Okay. Then I was waiting for a pullback into this imbalance level, ultimately into here, and that never happened. We saw the pullback, but it never filled that area. Okay. So we just got volume all the way to the downside. So if you were on this trade, you would have gotten into the trade too, to get into this lower level. So you would have been in you'd have been in that guy and then ultimately targeting that guy for that 1 to 6 that we talked about. So well, this happens. So if you tend to miss out on your first entry, most times you might not be getting set up. So that is how this works a lot of the time. So I'm not trying to jump into every trading opportunity, right? I'm just trying to get into that first entry. If I see a second entry opportunity, yes, definitely I'm taking that. But I have certain criteria for that. Okay. So straight down to GBP USD also on the 30th. That was my setup for the day, and that was the setup I was supposed to take that I did not take, which was actually actually pained me. I'm not going to lie. I was angry that I didn't take that because I failed to pay attention to my back testing session and I didn't put that in place. So I've been working on and off, putting this row, taking it off, putting this back in, and all of this stuff. So I'm just going to be trading, right? I see my setup, I take it. I know what I want to see, I see it, and then I take it. So for GU now, I was talking about how we've been moving with volume on on the daily time frame and how this area was where I needed to see price come to, right, for me to start going short and all of those things. So I was just looking for a recent level to just take price. Now I highlighted here for my guys in the office because I was looking at here as a very close place where um, price will be drawn to, right, to tap. Then probably before we begin to see, right, the pullback. Okay, maybe the major pullback into here, and if we get that, then we can start shorting back to clear the recent structural low. So basically, this was just my thing. I didn't talk about this, right? But this was just my thing. That's why you have it highlighted there, or that's why I have it highlighted there rather. So for the daily time frame, nothing much. I was just waiting for maybe bigger pullbacks, right? But then on the 4 hours time frame, what was happening? We had this recent structural points that I was talking about it that day, and I had my POI somewhere around there. Remember, you can go back and you see that everything happened before now. So this is me just cutting price, and you can. How do you know that I'm cutting price? You can obviously see this replay icons here. All right, so I had my POI around here, if you remember. So I had my POI here, right? An extension like this. That's okay. From here, from this region is where I want to most likely get that bounce from. Okay. Now, remember also that before I finish the video, I think this candle was the candle that was still open. This 1 hour candle precisely. And I was like, okay, I want to see pullback here, but I'm not going to be getting in because I was having the Asia high here, and which was not supposed to be so sincerely. Now I've seen my break of structure there. I've seen price taking this low. I am just supposed to set my pending order and get into this goddamn trade without hesitations. Okay, so that was my bad. So I was supposed to be in on this guy like this, okay, and have my stops there, and I usually add zero point 0.5 pips. So this is going to be a 92 points. Then I'm supposed to have my target here for a 1 to 7 and then ultimately target in this region, right, for a 1 to 11. Now I'm going to be showing you guys this. I'm going to be as if I am saying nonsense or I'm trying to fabricate anything. I'm going to show you guys that I actually had here mapped out. Okay. So I sent it to the group here. Sent it to the group here. Just give it a sec. Okay, so this was my comment. This was when was this? I'm looking for the 30th. I think this was it, GBP USD. Yes. So that was where I was supposed to get into the trade from, right? So that was that markout that I had there. So I wanted using confirmation, but we did not get. So this is why when we see this shift, it is our confirmation. So I wasn't supposed to hesitate rather. I was just supposed to get in and then get into the trade. And here is that line that I was talking about that I had marked out. So I had here as my realistic, and what did I say? So we'll adjust my target lower if I get tagged. So I just wanted to get in from here directly from that second point, but then that didn't happen. So On the 1 hour, we had this, so that was supposed to be my tag. Then price pushed to the downside, and then this was my pullback actually. So that was more of where I was supposed to. That was an opportunity again. So then this was my second break here. So I was waiting for a second scaling opportunity, right? If I'll get that, but unfortunately that did not happen. So price just continued moving lower and lower and lower. So yesterday also, which was the 31st, was looking for more trading opportunities. I absolutely did not get that, and that was how I missed this 1 to 11 hour. Okay, so a lot of times, like, you just have to take it sincerely, and I wasn't doing myself good. Okay, so the promise that I'm keeping to myself now is, doing better, right, and absolutely crushing the markets this month. So this is November. This is basically the end of the year. This is like, I call it like the last month of the year, because this is the last month where a lot of trading activities is going to be kicking in. Right, December will be seeing less volume, although for the first 2 or 3 weeks I will be trading personally. So I trade, except I just want to give myself the break, right? Because the market is going to be open and we might still be getting opportunities. So the only time that we'll be having market closure is New Year, Christmas, yes, a day to Christmas, if I'm not mistaken. I think Christmas Eve too. It's market is still going to be open. Still going to be open. So Christmas Day, Boxing Day. I don't know if at all the price, if at all the market is open, you're going to be having heavy spread. So that's why a lot of us tend to do what, stay away from the charts. So this was how I missed this 1 to 11 hour beautiful setup, beautiful trade, and sincerely I was pained. I'm not going to lie, because I've taken a whole lot of L, and right, I needed to recover for that guy. So you can see that was your draw. Okay, and then price came there, and what are we seeing? That pullback. So it's all about um you know study. I would say, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to feel like an idol or whatsoever. So it's all about basically break and retest. So price failed to retest this zone with body, and now coming close to it, right? It is an area for you to possibly use as target. So that was why I did that. So for now, what I'm having my eyes on, or what I'll be having my eyes on, is two things. Now we can see that bigger pullback kicking here based on this daily structural points that we have here. So when I begin to see volume, right? If at all I'm getting a buy setup to the upside, I'm going to be having my targets to be, this region. Okay, more of that region. I can also see that, okay, I want to be targeting more of this region here as well. Okay, so it's just simple as a result of a break, right, and a retest. So we have not retested this level. We have not retested this level. So there's a very, very high chance that we are going to be seeing this bigger move or bigger play into here. Then, if at all, right, we can now get that shift. Then that's where I'll now use confirmation to, drive price back to the downside to clear that low. So that's going to be another big opportunity if at all we get a setup. So there's no certainty here. So yeah, so right now, what do I have my eyes on? I have my eyes on a couple of things. Missed out on that guy, so I can't beat myself for a long period of time. Just learn my lessons and move. So I'm going to be clearing this guy now. Um, for the 4 hours time frame now, I'm just basically looking at the 4 hours time frame now. What I'll be having my eyes on is, I need price to pull back, which I have seen there, and then I draw my fib from this high, right, to basically this low. Now I have seen my 50% um threshold being met. Or I've seen price come into this 50% threshold, whatever it's been called, and now also price has retested what, this level. So we might say that we have something like this, okay, and then we've had this pullback, and then we've had that candle closure. So very well, there is here for us to have a look at. Okay, now one of the painful things about trading is, if you miss a setup, right, you don't know if your next setup is going to be a winner. So I can get a loss here, and the win that I was supposed to take, right, that is going to cover up for this guy, I did not take it. So that is the pain that comes with it, not necessarily missing out on the setup. It is it's a game of probability and a game of numbers, right? So you have to take every single trade. So the more you miss out on your setups, the less money you make. That's just the truth. So at the moment, price is here. So if we take this off, now we can see that volume nicely. So this is now where we can refine this guy, okay, to there. And for now, I might just have this like so, okay. Else you can take this like this. This is all your zone. So I'm going to be taking it one after the other. Then what I can do is I can put this guy there so that I will know that okay, that is my major swing point right there. So if we get that invalidation of this point, I can now adjust whatever it is that I need to adjust, right? And then if we see that shift, I can now try to take price lower and all of those stuff. So I'll be looking at price like this. Now this is where I can now ask myself how is price pulling back. So I drop to my 1 hour. Now I can see that I have a structure here, right? So what do I want to see now? If at all I get, sorry, let me just take this here a bit. So if at all I get a shift, okay, so this is why I just want to see that shift. If I get it, or maybe something like this, if I get that shift, then definitely I'm trying to take this guy lower. Okay, so I just want to see that shift. That is just the truth. I just want to see that shift. So if I get it, then yes, I'm firing. So you can see that it's dead simple. It's straight to the point. There's no complications and all of those here. So nothing is basically happening at the moment. Nothing is happening so much. So here, remember, on the 30th also we were here. Okay. So I was saying that I'm not going to be taking this guy because it does not meet my criteria. So you can see how I shuffle through. So even if you have multiple pairs that you trade, right? There are times, a lot of times, like 95% of the time, they are not going to be giving you setup at the same time, right? Just like even EU and GU, right? I had I actually had price on my POI, right, the same time, but the shift did not happen the same time. So basically that's just how it goes. So for this guy, we had the break, we had price coming crossing, right, that place I wanted to see, a retest at least. Now price came into this block and that was what it used, but now price must come to my 50% before I try to look for a setup. So it did not come. So I wasn't stressed about it. Okay. I'm not interested. I'm not really interested. Now, what we can see here is that we have a daily structure right here. Very tiny, but then it's there. Okay. So if we change this to the line chart, you can see that structural point. But it's very much obvious here because we have that weak buy drop. Okay, and now we're having this again. So USD card has been a little bit messed up. Okay, so I've not really had much setups. Although at the beginning of October it was good. I had about 3 to 4 setups that went perfectly well, right? That is adding up my entry one and entry two. So we are going to be having a look at all of that. I'm going to be dealing with it in real time. Then I'm also going to be having back testing sessions, right, where I study and where I tend to, create these rules from and on how to, manage my trades in real life. So now what do we have here? We had volume here, we had pullback volume. So this guy here is an incomplete pullback. So in the future, right, this guy might be a magnet, okay, for price to come back to. So that guy might be a magnet in the future for price to come back to. But for now, we've not had that. So whenever we we have whenever we now have like this shift, for example, right? And I want to get into price, definitely I'm going to be targeting here. But if I'm getting a sell setup, even if I begin to have these internal levels like this, if I begin to have internal levels like this and I go short, I'm going to have my first target, then I'm going to be having here as a magnet, right? Then there, then I can now have here as my target. So at the same time, I can get into a position there and I'll target here straight. Okay. The only thing that I'm going to be doing is my management, right? So my management is the most important thing to me, how I manage my trades, which whenever I make videos on my setups or my analysis, I'm going to be telling you how I manage or how I'm going to be managing my trades or how I managed it basically. Then not just by that, I'm going to also be sharing like proof that I was into this trade, maybe using my prop firm. Okay, so I'm taking a challenge presently. I failed a couple of challenge, no cap. So when I see that this is what I've observed, I know what I'm saying. Like I've paid the price, okay? Not by my strength anyways, by God's strength, but I've paid the price, right? And I have studied sincerely. I've spent, in fact, I don't want to talk about the amount of time I've spent. So right now at the moment, I've seen this pullback now, right? This is my Fibonacci from the low to the high now. I've seen price come into 50%. Then I've seen price retesting what this high. Okay, so everything is on check. Then this candle has closed bearish. Then what is just left is how is price pulling back. So when I go to the 1 hour, I cannot see anything. Okay, so now I basically wait for the next candle open, which was by 18 o'clock yesterday. Today is a Saturday. So my 1 hour there was nothing. My 30 minutes there was nothing. So I'm looking at pullbacks from, please pay attention. I'm saying it now for a say. I'm looking at pullbacks from this point. Okay. So on the 30 minutes, there was absolutely no structure there, which you can see. Then on the 15 minutes was now where I had, right, that structure there. So I was looking for a 15-minute shift, which I had a week there. Okay. After having that week, what did I tell you guys? I told you guys that usually now I want to see a break of structure with body. Now I have not confirmed, right, the week thing. If not, or else I would have just said, okay, this is my block here, right? And probably that's where I want to get into this trade from. And then I want to hold this for probably 1 to 3. And I would have actually taken partials. Okay, that was before the close of Friday. But then I wasn't really looking at that. I want to see that break with body here because there are times that it's going to be a trap, right? So until I fully confirm this, I can't really say anything, right? And I'll be doing that by back testing, which I think I'm going to be screen recording also, so that you will follow me through the whole process and all of those. Um, so this was where I got that break of body confirmation. Okay, so that was now telling me that okay, there's a tendency that all this guy is going to be liquidity, right? So then price came here and then gave us another break. So it was going to be a little bit complex, right? But if focus a little bit, we focus a little bit, we would see that this whole move might just be a one break of structure. Okay. And if it is not a one break of structure, it's still fine. This is, let's say, your second break of structure. The reality is, if we are tried to use our flip zone here, because if we say that if we measure from the low to the high, okay, this pullback came into 50%. So that's a valid flip zone area. And it is sincerely, it is where we have what this imbalance. But then one of the things also that I was looking out for was, right, I'm looking out for here. I'm looking out for when that 4 hours candle closed, which was 18 o'clock. So it was here. So I was not doing anything until the closure of that candle, sincerely. So this guy has already filled this imbalance. Then I had here. So there are two things now. I know that this lower point, right, is my protected level, whether I like it or not. Right. So it's either so what I now did was I just stepped down to the 5 minutes. Where is the imbalance, right? After that 4 hours candle closure. Now this is that imbalance here. Okay. And then this is the other block next to it. That is this last candle here, this black candle here. This is the last sell to buy candle. Just you can call it that. Then I'm just refining it to the body of that candle. And that is where I want to get into this guy from. Okay. So truth is, if you had, taken this guy from the flip zone, well, you get hit. That's just facts. You get hit, or you would have gotten hit here before the end of Friday, right? Because you are going to be having your stop loss, right here. You're going to be having your stop loss there, and you would be having targets here for a possible 1 to 7. Okay, but you'd have gotten hit. So the realistic place that you want to actually get into a trading position from is this point. Sincerely, that is the point that you want to get into that trade from. So yeah, so that's why I have this, and that's why I'll be getting in from here. Now the downside with the flip zone is price can invalidate your flip zone, and then it will still come here, and then it will buy. So that's the downside with flip zone. So if we are taking flip zone setup, we should have two things at the back of our mind, that there might be an invalidation of that flip zone to the true area where price is going to get to, and then price might be buying from there. So it's either we're having a pending order here and then another pending order here, right? As a guide. Or you can just say that, okay, I want to take my entry from the extreme point, and if I get tagged, fine. If I do not get tagged, I'm not beating myself. Do you understand? So that is just that about that. So the flip zone entry was good. This entry also is still good, right? So there's no need beating yourself. Now, another way we can approach this now is for Sunday, we can very much look at this. This is actually the last low, or this was the lowest point that we had before the invalidation of what? Of this high. So now there's a tendency that what is going to be happening, price is going to be using here for inducement. So this is going to be liquidity, or this is going to be a sweep. Why? Now liquidity sweep usually have it usually comes in, or it's valid when there's another flow. So this is your first break, this is your second break, this is your inducement, right? So you can anticipate that whole thing happening. So now what can we can anticipate here being an inducement. So what can we now anticipate? We have this, right? So we'll now be looking at how is price pulling back using this. Okay, so if that is my inducement there, how is price pulling back, right? So first off, I'm going to be get how I'm going to be approaching this is when we open, or when market opens, I'll be careful of spread. So if I do not get in aggressively here, right, because of spread, what I'm going to do is I will wait for price, right, to give me that confirmation. So how is price pulling back? I'll drop to the 5 minutes. Okay, then we can have this guy here. So what I would love to see is maybe a tag, right? Then push to the upside, then a retest, and then I can buy. Okay, so that is another way that we can anticipate, this whole thing happening. All right. So regardless of this imbalance that is still available here, okay. So this might be an inducement, and in fact, we have seen that happening. So we can just get. It is possible for us to get that close. Now, this is why I want to see closure with candle bodies. I'm always looking for that. I'm always talking about closure with candle bodies, because sometimes it can be a trap. This guy now can be a trap to, just push price here before we begin to see that real move to the upside. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why I always tend to wait. Then I can also go to 10 minutes, right, to just get much more clarity on some things. So something like this. So it's now possible that, right, this is now that major structural point. So I'll be looking at here, breaking completely with the body. So in as much as price has taken that high, I want to see a break of structure with body. So basically, I want to see the next candle open, that's on Sunday, move with volume. Okay, so close with that body, and then on the retest, I can now take this guy to have this target. Okay, so that can be my confirmation, right? So if that happens, wherever I have my imbalance and my block, I can be taking price, put my stop loss here, add that extra pip, then I'm still going to be getting a decent RR of a 1 to 6. Okay, so this is how I am. That's how I'm currently looking at this guy. So it's totally fine, even if your SL was hit, on that flip zone. It's totally fine. So you can either use this confirmation to approach price one, or if at all we get volume, that's in a situation where we just get volume to the upside and then we clear that high, I'll just wait for a retest, and then I'm taking it, because this is price shifting and then shifting again if you're not seeing it as an inducement, right? So I'll just take the reclaim here, and then I'm buying back to the upside. So this is presently how I am looking at this guy, right? And this is what I have. Okay, so sorry, on BTC USD now, why I'm looking at this guy is basically for same reason now, dollar strength. Okay, now the market has been very, very slow. I'm going to be showing you where I took this guy from. Posted it on my Instagram story as well. Let's go to Telegram. I think I posted it on. I don't post it here because I just do currency pairs here. So on my BTC, I'm just taking it on a personal level. So I got hit at first. I took this shot, the first sell. I'm going to be showing you guys. So I got hit here. Price moved in my direction a little bit, and then I got hit there. And then I took this second entry. Okay, I have not posted this here. I guess I should be doing that now, but I have it on my Instagram story. So I'm going to be taking a screenshot of that for reference, and then I'm going to be posting it on the Telegram so that you guys can see that I'm not bluffing. I actually had that set up there before price got to that point. Okay, just 1 second, please. So yep, it is done. So going to be seeing that now. So that pop up did not come. Okay, because it's open here. So yeah, so add this BTC USD 1 hour profile view, so you can see. I don't know how to zoom in, but you can basically see that entry points there. That's for the second one, the one I'm presently on. Then you can see my target, that black line there, and all of the stuff. All right, so I can be taking another screenshot for a clearer view on where price is now. So basically what I'm looking out for on BTC USD now, remember from the previous stuff. Okay, so this is all those work that we've done. So from the previous outlook and approach that we had, I said that this was what? This was my external level. This is that area that price can be drawn to, right? If at all we are seeing volume, or if at all we get volume from that point to push price to the upside. So this is going to be very much my target, right? So I'm not going to be looking at I'm not really going to be looking at price creating that all-time high, although it can create the all-time high very, very, very much, right? There's a tendency of that happening. But however, this is going to be my realistic point of target. Okay. So I'll be cool if I just get that as my target. So I don't care about the remaining stuff. So if I'm doing that, then I'm just gambling, right? Basically, I'm just saying that okay, there's a high chance. Okay. Or price might. I'm not really having, let's say, even a 50% certainty that price is going to be getting here. But whenever I see volume now and I'm getting those buys, at least I have some level of certainty that price is going to be getting here. Because why? It's a draw that price could come to as a result of an incomplete pullback. So now we know where our external structure is. It's pointing us to the lower side, right? And internal structure wise, I said that we had this low, and then we had this high taken. And then I also made mention that this could be a sweep of liquidity. I don't know if it was at that previous class, yes, but I think I did, or maybe it was at the office when I was talking to my guys. So that there could be a sweep of liquidity. Why? Because on the lower time frame, right, there's that structural point there. Now I was looking at, yes, at that particular point I was trying to sell, and I said that I want to be selling into this level here, and now we can see price dropped right into that level, invalidated that, you know, coming into this guy is also a POI cause. In as much as it could be an inducement, this could also be a break of structure, or it could be a structure shift. Okay, so now, however, I'm targeting here on my present sell position, and I'm going to be telling you guys why. So from there, I absolutely did not have any setup on BTC USD, because at that point, remember, I was telling you guys that I need price to, let me take this off. I was telling you guys that I need price to get to here before I start looking for those sell setup. So I didn't get that. So this is now where I am getting that. Okay. So yesterday took my first sell position there. I got hit, and now price is pulling back using the 1 hour. Okay. So before we go to the entry or my entry, let's talk about why I'm having that this lower level as my target. Now, I talked about front legs, right, and areas of obstacles. Now, this here is my flip zone that is supposed to be respected. Okay, now price has invalidated my flip zone one. Okay, now I'm not necessarily looking at that. I'm necessarily looking at how this guy is pulling back. So it's using the 4 hours, and now we can see where the 4 hours is, right? Which I showed you guys. Now, me getting into that guy yesterday, this candle was open. Okay, so this candle that just closed. So this is today's candle. Okay, so that candle was open, and then that candle closed bullish, giving me a pullback. So if at all we get volume now, that is targeting this guy. This guy now is a 4 hour low, and it now becomes your new daily front leg and back leg. That's your new daily structure. So it is like an indicator. It's basically an indicator. Do you understand? So I'm scrolling through multiple time frames, through all of these time frames to know what structure am I seeing, or this structure that I'm having on my 4 hours, am I having it on my daily time frame? So if it's obviously going to be visible on my daily time frame, whenever we take this guy, right now, there's a high chance that we are going to be seeing what, an invalidation of this guy, and ultimately getting what, an invalidation of this guy, right? Because price will now give us that new leg. So we now have a new point for price to respect. So we might still go up, but then eventually we might come down into this level. So banking on dollar strength. So I hope you guys understand now what I am saying. So this is why I'm having that high target now. But I'm going to be managing my trade, although I'm using the smallest lot size, right? So let's talk about the setup first. So now we have that. Now I begin to have my pullback. I said, how is price pulling back? Now price is obviously pulling back using the 1 hour. So what do I have here? Oh, um, right. So this was the first shift that I had here, and then I tried to enter, and then we got that invalidation there. The price moved with volume again, taking this guy. So I can see this as, let's say, trap and inducement, right? So I'm not waiting for an inducement to happen. If it happens, I know it has happened. Then we got that volume. So this point is just my entry point. Simple, just a shift, and then goodbye. So now price is pulling back using another 1 hour internal structure here. Okay, so if I delete this for a second, so now you can see this. So this is why I'm having my alarms there. Okay, so what I have been basically waiting for is I want to see a shift, because I'm using the smallest lot, 0.01. Then I see pullback, then I enter again. Okay, and then I try to drive price to the downside, right? So that's what I'm anticipating. So for now, I'm just in on this guy. Okay, I'm going to be showing you guys, um just going to be casting my phone to here. One sec. Okay, so I'm going to be casting my device to here so that you can see my phone screen. Beautiful. So let's go to MT5. Okay, so this is a trade here, just BTC USD that I have here. So this is that trade here. So I got in on that level. I have my stops at that high. So you see, I'm risking 0.01 at the moment. So this is a live account, right? So yesterday, um, okay, so this was yesterday's trade that I took on BTC USD, risking that. So I got hit. Then I funded another $10. So nine, I had an account, so you can see my account, you can see my balance. So risking $10 there. So basically risking 9.4, then $10 if you add commission. So yeah, this is what I have it. So I can only just have one position at the moment, right? So this is what I have. So I'm anticipating price to get to this level for $70. Now this is the most realistic point for a $39 actually. Okay. But well, let's see how this goes. So I'm very much trying to, very much trying to I think I can close that now. So I'm trying to look for, more opportunities, more scaling opportunities, right, to get into. So now there's something I can see here, right? So regardless of the fact that we have this low for price to take, so this low that we're having here, now I can see price trying to form a new 4 hour structure here. So if we can nicely clear this guy, okay, so we have something like this. Now I can anticipate a pullback, then I will now make use of confirmation. That's asking myself, how is price pulling back again? Then if I see a shift, I can nicely get into another trade to hold this guy longer, right? Now that way it will enable me to manage my risk properly. So this is the problem with trading BTC, gold, and all of those things. So that's why you see your idolos, they are getting into multiple positions. Why? Because they will need to take some profit at some point, right? So management is everything, I'll say. So if I'm just using 0.01, that means, what that means is I cannot take partials. Do you understand? There's nothing, that's the lowest and the minimal lot. So I can't take partials, right? So what I want to see now is, that break, then I use that confirmation. That is one. Two, I thought I adjusted this to here. Now, two is, aside from that, what can also happen is price can also move with volume. So if we still get volume to clear this low, so I'm still having my eyes here. Okay, so if we clear that low at the same time, I'll look for a reclaim. Then what? I'm still going to be shorting from that point. So when I do that, I'm going to be reducing my stop loss from here. Okay, so from that high, from this high, I'll reduce my stop loss to the most recent point. Why? Because I'm using confirmation and I'm just trying to utilize my setup basically. So that's what I'm doing. So I have this low for price to clear, you know, or that high, right? So then on the 4 hours, I also now have this area here. So it's just a wait game. So this is why I have my alerts. So I just set my alarm, and then if I get that break there, or whenever I get that push here, then it's fine. Then I look for that confirmation. Else I get volume to the upside. Then if I get a shift, then I can now just get into that aggressively. Okay, push it to the downside, and then I'm good to go. So that's what I have. So if that does not happen, it's going to invalidate my setup. It's going to clear that high, ultimately going to take here. So that's going to be two hits, which is going to be painful actually. So forget that we get volume, then I'll be looking for a reclaim into here. Then I can now buy back to the upside. Okay, to do what? To target, those higher points. Okay, so that's when I'll now be targeting here. Okay, then ultimately I'm going to be having those higher targets there. So this is how I'm going to be handling this guy for now. So for now, very much bearish, heavily bearish, and I just want to be pushing price lower. So I wait. So that is all for that, guys. See you guys. And it's going to be more on back testing from here, and forward testing, that's showing you guys my trades and all of the stuff. So catch you guys later.